YouTube, how's it going? Well, I'll tell you what, been pretty nice here yesterday and today. Last night the temperature got down into the low 60s and it was so cool and comfortable and nice I was actually able to turn my fan off. As a matter of fact, while it did get kind of on the warm side today, here it is in the late afternoon, early evening. Let's see, what is it? About 6:30 in the evening. And that thing is right now turned off. A ceiling fan is still going, but I never turn that off except in the deepest cold of winter. And it's nice, it's comfortable. For the first time, really comfortable in the daytime for quite a while. And I'm appreciating every second of it. Now, as you probably noticed, the schedule took something of a hit yesterday and today, because yesterday when I was going to be doing an Orbiter 2010 video, as a matter of fact it was going to be the suggested video that did kind of an overview of the Orbiter 2010 instrument panel and HUD, and I am going to do that, but I didn't get it done yesterday because I got very wrapped up in a project. As you may recall, I have a project I'm working on Hermitcraft FTB. I started, I think, probably about 3 months or more ago by now. And that project was all about building the single most expensive, most difficult to build, most complicated and involved machine that the GregTech mod offers. And that is the Fusion Reactor. And everything I've done for the last 3 months, whether it's tree farms or this or that or the other, all of it has been about laying the infrastructure in place to be able to produce fuels necessary for the thing and the components necessary to build it. It's all been about putting all that stuff in place, one thing after another. And finally, the video that went up this morning, I believe it was, I actually had enough stuff done. I had gotten far enough down the road to fusion that I could actually assemble the reactor. And I spent a large chunk of yesterday powering through the last bits of stuff, dealing with lag, with uncooperative machines, uncooperative mods, and so on. And finally, the reactor has been assembled. The next step is to charge it up with an insane amount of power to ignite the fusion reaction and start it generating what it generates. And that's coming up very soon because I've spent a major chunk of today working on that, which is why Journey to the Firelands didn't happen today, and why this vlog is as late as it is. And that video will be going up tomorrow morning, and well, I expect it's going to be good. Well, I've been editing it. I think it's good so far, so well, we'll see. In any event, that's what's going on. That's why I've been kind of silent. You know, it's just one of those things, kind of been busy. On an off note, I had the strangest kind of nightmare wannabe dream the other night. It was really kind of odd. It had all the classic nightmare qualities to it. Now, in the dream, I'm working in some kind of flight control center. And it's a space flight control center because we're controlling, it's just like an air traffic control tower, only for spacecraft that are launching from, returning to Earth, or maneuvering in orbit, leaving orbit, entering orbit, stuff like that. You know, it's just like traffic control, only for spacecraft. And so everything's fine, everything's going normal, just business as usual. Exactly where I came up with this, I have no idea. I'd rather fly the ship than direct it, you know. Anyway, so everything's normal until a power failure happens. There's a power failure, lights are out, everything's down, battery operated emergency lights come on, and that's all fine and dandy. And this person that works at the station across the way from me had for the last hour or so begun looking less and less herself and more nightmarish. You know, the thin, bony, gaunt, dark look. And it's just definitely not the person next door in any way, shape, or form. You know, after most of the way it transformed, you know, the person isn't quite human anymore. You know how it is? And this sort of thing happens in dreams, so you gotta know what I'm talking about. So anyway, there's this power failure. She gets up and she walks around me and heads over towards the exit. Apparently going to see what's going on outside or something, I don't know. And by then, any resemblance to normal human is gone. Thin, bony, gaunt, draped in this dark, flowing cloak, hooded cloak. The hood is drawn up over her head, covers her face, and this flowing cloak goes all the way to the floor, and is just weird, you know. She doesn't walk so much, she just kind of glides in a given direction, you know. And heads on past me, heads towards the door. So far, I don't think anything of it. And then there's another door, a basement door that heads down to some kind of storage area or something. And then she's almost to the exit and starts backing up. Backing up, still kind of floating and gliding, heading down the stairs to the basement, which is of course pitch dark, and the doorway and stairwell is like lined in spider webs and, you know, all this kind of crap, you know, dust and cobwebs and all this stuff. Moving down the stairs in kind of almost slow motion. And that's when the emergency lights went out. Pitch black. Fortunately, I know my way around the place, and so I get up and I go to a cabinet across the room to get a light, because there's like emergency flashlights in there. Why they're not in my desk drawer, I don't know, but hey. Anyway, so I go over there and I get a flashlight, and this is when this really eerie, nightmarish voice comes out of this person. And it asks a question. Tell me, is it true that you're afraid of the dark? You know, just like that. It was crazy. Is it true that you're afraid of the dark? And the emergency lights, having come back on, went back off again. I start the flashlight and it goes off. And then this thing, just as the light begins to come back on again, does the classic horror movie jump scare. It's like all of a sudden, from the bottom of the stairwell, boom, right up to the top. And it's a classic jump scare, you know. And whether you're afraid of something like that or not, it's going to startle you. So I'm startled. And it gets the wrong idea. And it just responds with this nightmarish glee. It is true. You are afraid of the dark. And then it starts laughing and cackling and moaning and groaning all at the same time, which how that happens I don't know, but it did. And then of course in the nightmarish high-speed slow motion starts coming for me. Arms outstretched, hood and cloak flapping in the breeze behind it as it heads toward me, theoretically really fast, but it's in slow motion. And it's cackling and laughing and moaning and groaning all at the same time, and it's coming for me, its arms outstretched, and it's basically, you know, going for the throat. And that's when I decide, this is a little atypical for nightmares, but that's when I decide, you know, I've had enough of this. I'm not afraid of this thing or the dark or anybody else. And so it's coming at me in high-speed slow motion. I decide I'm not going to wait. Run straight forward towards it. Punch this thing right smack in the middle of the face, and that's when I wake up. And it's like, doggone it, I wanted to see what happened. Now how's that for an oddball dream? And now I've done made this video 2.5, 3 times longer than it was originally supposed to be. Sorry about that, but I had to tell that story. That was just too funny not to tell. You ever have a dream like that that was supposed to be a nightmare but actually turned out kind of comical like that? Tell me about it. I really want to hear that. Take it easy. I'm out of here.
Mr. TinFoilChef.